I'm in a forest in the Slovenian mountains, and today I'm gonna be looking for what remains of the Austro-Hungarian positions of the infamous Isonzo Front. Let's have a look what can be found here. Already here, look at that. You can even see the trench running along here. In August 1915, the Italian forces advanced and they even captured the Bovec basin, which is the area just in that direction. So with the Italian advances, the Austro-Hungarian army pretty much reinforced the existing positions. We're now having a look at the Ravelnik positions where everything was restored to how it once looked. We have a firing position. Here it says fortress with embrasure, officers' cavern. It must be this building here that we're going to have a look at. Now this position would have given a clear view over the Bovec basin, now overgrown of course. Now look at that. There's a dead end. Let's see what's up here. Wow. So, what happened here? Upon the Italian war declaration on Austria-Hungary on the 23rd of May 1915, the Austro-Hungarian army was already a little bit prepared, especially in this area, but the positions here were drastically undermanned, which means they had a few garrisons in place, also a few fortifications with artillery and large caliber cannons. The very hesitant advance of the Italians on these positions bought the Austro-Hungarian army some pretty precious time, and they could wait for reserve troops from Galicia, which is in nowadays Ukraine. throughout 1915, they pretty much fortified this whole area here. Especially this hill, which is called Ravelnik, and the other hill just nearby. The name is quite impossible to pronounce, so I don't want to offend any Slovenians here. Well, as I said, this was pretty much a northern strong point of the whole Isonzo area here. The Austrian army pretty much tried to fortify the area and to withstand Italian advances. So here's the other entry to the underground cavern that we've seen. Here's one, too. Here they even had a makeshift cable car system running downhill. Inside this barrack here, reconstructed bed, corrugated iron, pretty basic. Here we even have a frontline map. Let's see if we can find the spot where we are. Yeah, we're right here. The Italian front line would have been there. And this map beautifully portrays the Isonzo front line. There's even some remains. Grenade fuse. Wow. This is what this place here would have looked like. Remains of a shovel. These ones were spikes to put on your shoes when it was frozen for winter. Now, don't be fooled by all these installations here, because this specific area mainly was a logistical backbone rather than designated fighting positions, but nonetheless they used it for defending against the Italians, of course. Let's continue. Now here this sign says sniper shield, or rather firing shield. Maybe this is why the Austro-Hungarian and the German Empire lost the war, because look at how sophisticated everything was. This sign here says observation post, which makes sense in this elevation. Here you would have had a pretty decent view over the valley. And another embrasure. Beautiful. Baroque, reinforced with of concrete. What a marvel of engineering. So, what's there more to tell about these positions here? Throughout the war, they were never overrun or even seriously threatened, because the main battles were further south in the area of Tolmin. So therefore, up here, it was rather a war of brutal attrition and grinding. So, yeah, as I said, these Austro-Hungarian lines were never taken by Italian forces. On October 24th, 1917, the 12th Isonzo battle, the Battle of Caporetto, or in Slovenian Kobarit, happened, where Austrian and German specialized troops broke through the Italian lines, including gas attacks, heavy artillery, and so on. And with that breakthrough, and with the Italians retreating, this very sector here became pretty much irrelevant overnight. And that's how the battles of the Isonzo pretty much ended. We're continuing our travel further south towards Tolmin and Kobarit, or Caporetto. Let's see what can be found there. We're heading back, following the old frontline trench. It was once built to defend this former Austro-Hungarian land from the Italians, but if you know history, it wasn't to any avail, and the borders were reorganized, to put it simply, after the war. But as I always tend to say, this landscape, even though pretty hard to see through the lens, is full with trenches, craters, and so on. What a place. Even here, in the thickest of undergrowth, I'm basically walking in a trench, but you probably can see it. It runs right along here. Now we've come across an Austro-Hungarian war cemetery. It reads here, arresting 546 fallen of the former Austro-Hungarian army. Close to this war cemetery, on the 24th of October 1917, the Austrian and German stormtroops breached the Italian positions at the beginning of the 12th Isonzo battle, and they reached the lower Piave at the 10th of November 1917, and this was the last victory of the Austro-Hungarian army. As you can see, there are no names, nothing. So I gotta be honest, this war cemetery looks quite sad. The trees that were standing here were felled. Well, could be in better shape. Noteworthy is that on these spaces here, apparently there were Italian soldiers buried. They were consolidated to the Italian war cemetery at Cobarit, or in Italian Caporetto. Thank you so much for watching this very short, but I hope nonetheless interesting video, and see you in the next one. Bye.